Hi, horse friends. Welcome to this deep dive into a new and surprising discovery in equine science. A discovery with serious implications for horse owners, trainers, riders, and equestrian sport regulators alike. In a recently published study, researchers in Australia have revealed that horses may inadvertently ingest a banned anabolic steroid, ecdysterone, through common, everyday feedstuffs, hay, pasture weeds, even some commercial feeds. That means a positive drug test in a horse might not always mean deliberate doping. Today, we'll explore how this exposure happens, the scientific evidence behind it, the consequences for the horse world, and what steps might lie ahead to address this challenge. Let's begin. To understand the significance of this discovery, let's set the stage. Ecdysterone is a natural compound found in certain plants. It is known among bodybuilders and supplement aficionados for its purported muscle-building effects. In many equestrian competitions, ecdysterone is classified as a banned anabolic substance. Its detection in a horse's system can lead to suspensions, fines, or penalties for the rider or owner, under zero-tolerance rules in many jurisdictions. The impetus for the study began in 2023 when an Australian rider's horse returned a positive test for ecdysterone, despite no known deliberate administration. This raised the question, could the horse have been exposed inadvertently? This isn't the first time the equine world has wrestled with contaminants or naturally occurring substances in feed. Cases of feed contamination causing false positives have been documented for other substances. The crux? When a substance is naturally present in feed or the environment, drawing the line between accidental exposure and an intentional cheating becomes a thorny challenge. Let's now turn to the heart of the matter, the study itself, its design, methods, findings, and surprises. This was a 2-year investigation led by researchers at Queensland University of Technology in Australia. Co-authors included Associate Professor Kathy Holt, Dr. Ivy Lee, Dr. Pat Harris, Mitchell Coyle, Dr. Daniel Fitzgerald, and more. Their work was published in the journal Animals under the title Sources of Environmental Exposure to the Naturally Occurring Anabolic Steroid Ecdysterone in Horses. Researchers collected 24 hay samples from across 4 Australian states: Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, and Tasmania. Samples of common pasture weeds, notably lamb's quarter and black nightshade. Various commercial horse feeds and supplements. They also monitored ecdysterone levels in horses, correlating feed exposure with blood levels, and considered other potential factors influencing levels, such as internal parasites. So what did they find? Every one of the 24 hay samples showed measurable levels of ecdysterone. Number 2, high concentration in certain weeds. Weeds such as lamb's quarters and black nightshade, plants frequently present in pasture, contain particularly high levels of ecdysterone. Number 3, low levels in commercial feeds and supplements. Some commercial feeds and supplements also showed the presence of ecdysterone, albeit at lower concentrations. Number 4, variation between horses. Interestingly, even when multiple horses consume the same feed, ecdysterone levels in their bloodstream varied widely. In some cases, one horse's blood concentration was 30 times higher than another's despite similar exposures. Number 5, possible role of internal parasites. The researchers hypothesized that internal parasites might contribute to elevated levels of ecdysterone in a horse's system, possibly by influencing metabolism or absorption. These findings paint a complex picture. the feed environment itself may be a non-negligible source of prohibited substances. The presence of ecdysterone in hay and weeds strongly supports that environmental feeding contamination is plausible. However, detecting a substance doesn't always translate to a performance effect or violation. Dosage, absorption, metabolism, and detection thresholds all play roles. The larger individual variation in absorption makes it hard to set a safe threshold. What is negligible for one horse might exceed a threshold in another. So what do these findings mean for the horse world, from the barn level to the regulatory canopy? For riders, owners, trainers, first, the possibility of an innocent false positive increases. A horse might test positive not because of deliberate doping, but from feed-based exposure. Liability remains. Most regulations presume responsibility for the horse regardless of intent, but the new findings may offer a no-fault, no-penalty argument in some cases. Feed and pasture management become even more important. Removing or reducing weeds known to carry ecdysterone might help, but eliminating them entirely is often impractical. Testing and monitoring. For high-stakes competition horses, preemptive screening, feed certification, and frequent vet oversight may become more common. What does this mean for equestrian authorities and regulators? Many international and national bodies consider ecdysterone a zero-tolerance substance. Under that lens, any detection means penalties, but that rigid standard may now be under pressure. The authors suggest regulators might need to allow for innocent exposure defenses and revise rules to distinguish between intentional doping and environmental contamination. Authorities may need to reconsider detection thresholds, permitted levels, or confirmatory testing procedures, along with guidance on feed safety and sourcing. The study highlights how climate change may shift weed populations, potentially increasing the prevalence of plants carrying prohibited substances. It opens the door to further investigations of other banned compounds that might similarly enter equine systems via feed. It underscores the need for better feed certification, contamination monitoring, and perhaps new industry standards akin to feed forensics. Skeptics might argue it's risky to relax strict liability. Allowing more room for arguments of innocence could open loopholes. Setting a safe background level is fraught because of large individual variation in absorption. Many jurisdictions already discourage or ban feeding of supplements or substances near competition. Enforcing stricter feed controls is resource intensive. To put the study in broader context, let's look at related issues in equine doping, supplementation, and feed studies. There have been prior cases where horses tested positive for banned substances due to contaminated supplements. For example, ractopamine in a contaminated gastric supplement. Contaminated feed bins, spillover, cross-contamination in storage, and environmental residues have been implicated in earlier false positive cases. In many jurisdictions, equine supplements or nutraceuticals are less tightly regulated than medicines. That leaves room for mislabeling or undisclosed ingredients. In a study of horse supplement users, many owners believe supplements are rigorously regulated, a misconception which may expose them to risk. The use, abuse, and regulation of anabolic steroids in equine sport has long been a contentious topic. Some of the challenges include unclear therapeutic benefits, side effects, effects on reproduction, behavior, and equitable enforcement across jurisdictions. From a welfare perspective, monitoring and limiting exposure to potentially harmful compounds is crucial, even if unintended. From an ethical perspective, the integrity of equestrian competition depends on fair and transparent rules, but those rules must also be just, recognizing when exposure is truly inadvertent. Given what we now understand, what should stakeholders do? Let's outline possible recommendations and next steps. Expand sampling to other regions and countries to see whether this phenomenon is widespread globally. Investigate other known banned compounds that might similarly be present in feed or environments. Study the mechanism of absorption, metabolism, and variation between individual horses. Explore thresholds. What blood level truly distinguishes inadvertent exposure versus intentional administration? Consider adapted rules or exceptions allowing for innocent exposure, defenses, especially where feeding trace levels is widespread. Reassess detection limits, cutoff thresholds, and conformity testing strategy. Educate competitors and horse owners about feed risk, contamination, and mitigation strategies. Develop or promote feed certification programs or audits to ensure low risk of prohibited substances. We may move towards a more nuanced regulatory model, one that balances zero tolerance with fairness. Recognize the realities of the natural environment. In that future, proving intent may become as important as proving presence. With more research, better feedback practices, and informed regulation, the equine community can aim to reduce false positives, protect clean competitors, and preserve integrity and welfare. In summary, the 2025 QUT-led study uncovers a compelling and potentially game-changing truth that horses may inadvertently receive banned anabolic compounds through common feed vehicles. This matters because it challenges the binary view of doping versus innocence and demands we rethink how we regulate, monitor, and protect the sport. As the equine world digests these results, one thing seems certain. The lines between environmental exposure and deliberate doping have blurred. The burden now is on researchers, authorities, and the horse community to find a better balance. Thank you for joining this exploration.